All right, what's up, everybody? My name's Scotty Banx. It's my first time doing this Facebook Live thing, so it's pretty weird to me right now. Um, so a little bit about me. I am an audio engineer, so people tend to think an audio engineer and a music producer is the same exact thing. It's not. So here's what I do. I am the guy that makes everything sound good. So if you ever wonder like why you see Mariah Carey or Beyonce or anybody perform live and they sound terrible but they sound good when you listen to the song, it's because people like myself, we mix the songs down. We mix every single instrument track down, but we don't make the beat. Like I mean, I know how to make beats, but that's not what I do. I don't make the beats for the artist. So what I do on my end is I'm the guy that you see when you walk into the studio and you see the guy sitting at the big board with all the knobs and sliders and everything, the faders. That's me. That's what I do. A little bit about my story, though. I'll tell you how I got into it. So, I started writing music around, I don't know, I was like 8 maybe, started writing music. This Facebook Live thing is weird. Started writing music around 8 because I wanted to be like Lil Bow Wow. Like, I'll be completely honest with you. I wanted to be just like Lil Bow Wow. But as I got older and started taking it more serious, I decided to go and record my first project. I recorded my first project. I paid $20 an hour to record my music in somebody's closet. And from that point on, I kind of felt some kind of way that I paid to record in somebody's closet. So I was like, if I can do that, I can get my own stuff and do it for free. So, long story short, I got my own equipment and I was teaching myself how to do this stuff in my room for the longest time, from just watching videos on YouTube and like listening to music I liked, and I would try to make my stuff sound like that. Fast forward, that was like probably high school. I was 14 maybe when I first started this. So fast forward 7 years later, me like having no social life in high school, never going to parties. I kind of ruined my whole college experience, everything, just trying to figure this thing out. Fast forward to last year. After 7 years of me practicing this stuff, I did 2 years I did 2 years mixing songs for free for people. Like I started my record label because I needed practice on my music. So after 2 years of mixing songs for free for my artists on my label, what I did was I decided to what? Swipe, what? Whatever. I decided to finally start taking clients like around last summer. So around last summer, June 26th, actually, I took my first client. And after that, like, word spread like wildfire that I had this quality mixing going on for the lowest price anybody's ever heard of. I was charging 20 an hour just because when I first started recording, I was paying 20 hours. So, all right, cool, whatever. So that happens, and I'll go from having maybe 13 clients in my first 6 months to me having over 150 within a year's time. And from that point, it was coming to a point where I would go to work and I would lose more money than I was making just by being at my full-time job. I was doing customer service for Comcast. It was the worst experience ever. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. So after I did that and I realized like, okay, I got this clientele here, I had to make a move because if I can't be available for my clients, they can find somewhere else to go. They might pay a little more, but they will find somewhere else to go. So what I did was I just went to my job and I realized like on a weekend I would make my paycheck just in a weekend. Boom, like it was nothing because people wanted to record. So came to a conclusion. I'm like, all right, well, I got to save up some money for, of course, save my expenses up for the next couple months or whatever. Save up my money and put my 2 weeks in at my job. The day I left my job, like I said, I was working at Comcast doing customer service. I was making $13.75 an hour. So even if I worked 10 hours a day, that check wasn't too much. So the day I left my job, I put my 2 weeks in that on a Thursday. The next day was a Friday. I made $600 in the studio, and half the time I would have spent that at Comcast just from, like I said, the demand was crazy. So I did that. After after a while, like I was making steady money. Like it was no problem making making my studio income match the Comcast income. That was a layup. What I learned though is after a while, once I started sitting in the studio for more than maybe, I'll be in the studio probably from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. just really in the studio taking clients all day long. But I would hate the music they recorded. Like I was really hating that music. But like one of the biggest reasons I left my full-time job also was not only to keep my clients, but I also run a record label. So I wanted to have more time to devote to my artists and everything. Let's see who's watching. Who is watching? All right, cool. Anyway, I would always wanted to give my artists more time on my labels. We could work on their projects and everything. So that's why I left my job. And the idea was, like, people ask me why don't I take more artists on my label or whatever. The reason being is because everybody on my label can do what I do, because I wanted it to be able to be ran by me just telling them what to do. And whether I was there or not, they could carry it out. So everybody on my label can mix their own music, make their own beats, shoot videos, whatever we need done, they know how to do it. What I wanted to do was be able to have a team where we would all be able to, I guess, focus on what needed to be focused on. We could all assume a role. So for example, since I'm the engineer, we would have somebody in charge of directing the videos, have somebody else in charge of directing the production, have somebody in charge of the network, and then coordinating events and everything. I left my full-time job and that didn't happen. Like they understood what I was trying to do, but I guess they weren't as in as I was. So now I got all this money coming in from these other artists that's not my artists, but I don't have my label doing anything. My company, like the studio is booming, but my label is like stagnant, like it's dead right now. So if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter or anything really, you see that we got some projects coming out now. We finally got everything uploaded to Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, and everything like that. But if you know anything about the music industry, it's an expensive chance to take. Like it's no guarantee. You can put $300 million into it and nobody will ever know your name. So it's no guarantee. So, as I said, my dilemma was I was making a lot of money from the clients on the one side, but I had no time for my artists on the other side. So I had to figure out what was more important to me. Was it more important for me to make a lot of money, or was it important for me to get my artists, which are my friends, like these people I really care about, not just somebody I made signs and paper and I was like, I'm going to take all your money. Nah. So it was either, make all the money and be the man by myself, or take a step back and reevaluate everything and get my label to where it's supposed to be at. So over the past few weeks, actually, I decided that it was time for me to take a step back as far as being the engineer that everybody can go to and making myself more exclusive to only certain people that I like to work with, and get my label back to where they're supposed to be at. Because my thing is, if you're on my label, then you decided to work with me for a reason. And don't get me wrong, I have a label, but when I first started my label, I had no idea what I was doing. So my original team that started off with me, they took a chance as well, and I feel like I would be wrong to be selfish with my time and not give them the attention they deserve as artists after they spent all this time, working with me or whatever, figuring everything out with me. So long story short, I'm taking a step back from dealing with a bunch of clients and making a lot of money. I actually, right now, what I'm doing is upping the price. Like, if you want to come, that's cool. My price was originally $20. When I left my full-time job, I went to 30 an hour. Now I'm at 50 an hour. So if I'm leaving or taking any time away from what I'm doing right now, then it's for no less than, $50 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. That's $100 just to leave the house. Whatever. And it's also cool because I set up a system where the clients pay before I leave out. So that's cool. But next Sunday, actually, we have the album release party, so you can actually see what's going on inside of the label, like what we're actually doing. I'll show you the inside of the studio. You can't see that today, but I'll show you the inside of the studio, show you the release party and how that's all going. We'll show you the setup, pretty much everything. It might be an extremely long video. I don't know. I'll figure out how to do it. I might do multiple videos in one day or something. I don't know. But that was just my introduction for the day. So like I said, I'm Scotty Banx, and this is what I do, and that's my story, and you'll learn more as you follow me. So if you're not already my friend, add me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and just keep up with me.